Today, I'm going to be talking about the Prism mechanical mod by a company called Deus mods. Look at the size of this box. This mechanical mod came in this box, guys. This is about the same size as an 18650 battery. Tiny! And when I pop this bad boy open, my first thoughts, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Before we get into this review, first I'd like to give a shout out to Chris over at Deus Mods. Chris, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for sending this out. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the parts, talk about the materials, and then I'm going to vape on it, talk about how it vapes, how she fires, all that jazz, tell you if I like it, the pros, the cons. Alright, so let's dive down and show you guys what the Prism's made of. There's an 18650 battery. This thing is the smallest device that I have ever personally had a chance to play with. I mean, it is tiny. This device is made up of 5 individual parts. Here is your bottom firing pin. Contacts, silver plated copper. Threads, again, extremely smooth, buttery smooth. And just like a lot of these other bottom firing devices, it's got a locking switch, okay? So to unlock it, so you could fire it, you screw this portion right here to the left, or counterclockwise. Smooth button. You got your 2 telescopic portions, which make up the dual telescopic system. And here is your 510 connection. Machining is absolutely gorgeous. If I didn't mention that before, the machining is top notch. Threads, top notch, buttery smooth. You've got this floating pin right here. This contact is silver plated copper, and it's a floating pin, which means whichever device that I screw on here, this pin will float or adjust to make whichever device I screw on here flush. Super convenient. Just like the base, you got these nice little grooves, which gives it a really classy touch. IMO. Everything's been compatible for this device. Every atomizer I've screwed onto. Anything I've used on here is fit flush. And then here is the actual barrel or center of the mechanical mod. Got your air holes, 2 air holes. Got your Deus logo. Serial number. So those are the 5 individual parts. The Prism is made of 304 stainless steel. It's a dual telescopic system. It's compatible with an 18350 battery, an 18500 battery, or an 18650 battery. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like in each mode. 18350 mode, 18490 or 500 mode, and 18650 mode. But before I do that, I'm going to screw on the atomizer I'm using today. In this case, the Trident version 2. Booyah! Flush. So the first thing I'm going to do is take 1 telescopic portion, screw it onto the base. Next I'm going to take the second telescopic portion and screw the 510 connection with the atomizer on it to it. Then I'm going to screw the base with the telescopic portion into the center section of the Prism. Leave a little gap. The 18350 mode, pop the battery in there. Screw the top portion on there. 18350 mode. That is stealth mode right there. That is the size of an 18650 battery without the atomizer on there. That is sick as tits, if you ask me. 18500 mode. $18,500 mode right there, my favorite mode. And then in 18650 mode, what I do is I take the telescopic portion on each side out until you can almost see the threads. about right there. Battery. I like to adjust it to where the section in here is even on each side. 18650 mode right there. We're going to go ahead and take it to the original screen. I'm going to vape on it, show you how she performs, give you guys the pros, the cons, and all that jazz. Oh yeah, she's a vaping up the room. We got a 0.8, 0.9 ohm coil in this Trident V2. So how hard does this Prism hit? Was that like a 1-2 second hit? This sucker hits hard. I mean, when I say hits hard, this thing hits like King Kong! I mean, this thing is up there with the GMS, it's up there with the Panzer. As far as how hard this device hits, it's up there. Top 3 for sure. It's definitely knocked the El Capitan off that top 3 list and moved up there right behind the Panzer and the GMS. Oh yeah, when I first got this device, it was hitting like a champ. I've been using this for 2 weeks, but the first 3 to 4 days I was using it, I noticed that when I hit the button, it wasn't firing every time I hit the button. It would fire when I hit it right in the center. That's right in the center, but it wouldn't fire when I hit it on the side. And it was just on one side of that firing button that it would not fire. It would fire on the other side, but it wouldn't fire on this side. So I switched out the battery that I was using when I first noticed that this thing was having issues firing. When I switched to another battery, I was still having the same issue. So I went in, I took the firing pin apart with the spring, with the silver plated copper contact, the firing button. I took that apart and I found that the spring was kind of lopsided in there. So it wasn't able to guide that contact straight up to that battery to make connection. That was the issue. It was nothing to do with the mod. The spring was just a little bit lopsided. I fixed that, fixed the spring. Boom, it fires, it hits every time now. And this sucker hits hard. I mean, so if you've got a Prism and you're having issues with this thing firing every time, it's not consistent, it's most likely because of that spring is kind of off-centered a little bit. All you gotta do is go in there, tweak the spring a little bit. Springs are easy to conform, get it straightened out, and you'll be golden. Pros, when I received it in this little box, I was like, holy cow. I mean, it's so cute. You ladies out there, if you're looking for small mechanical mods, you guys will think this thing's adorable because this thing is cute. My wife, she looked at it, she was like, oh, this thing is so cute. This is so cute. And I just started laughing. But yeah, it's tiny, man. I mean, it's tiny. This is 18500 mode, and I mean, my hand is just swallowing it. I was in the movie theater the other day, and I had an 18350 mode at a 1.2 ohm coil in there, dripping, you know, and I was just like, I didn't have to, you know, hide it. Popped it in my front pocket like that. It fit perfect, tiny, and whenever I wanted to hit, just slide it out of the pocket. It was small. No one could see it in my hand. Good to go. Being tiny like that in stealth mode, that's a huge plus in my book. I know a lot of people like to run it in stealth mode, especially if they're out in public, or they just like the look and just know that this thing is tiny, that they can bring it down to a size that is smaller than most devices out there. I mean, it really does look sick as tits. I didn't mention this before, but it is Kick 2 compatible and Kick compatible, which is a plus. The finish on it is really, really smooth. It's really shiny. If you're the type of vapor that loves shiny products, this is shiny. I mean, you gotta clean it a lot because it is a fingerprint magnet, but the finish is fantastic. It's really got a smooth finish to it. The way this is made, top notch. I didn't receive this product with any burrs or scratches on there. Everything is just down to the T. Perfect dimensions. It's just a flat out great machined product. Anything that I put on this 510 connection is compatible, fits perfect, whether it's an RDA, an RTA, an RBA, Genesis atomizer, a Cardo tank, whatever. Whatever I put on here has been compatible. and it's screwed all the way flush. You've got your vent holes, which all devices, mechanical mods, variable voltage, variable wattage devices should have. This does have that. I personally love the logo, Deus. I love the logo at the firing pin. I think these logos on here give it a classy touch. The threads that make up this device, the telescopic portions, the barrel section, the middle section, the 510 connection, buttery smooth. Up there with the highest quality devices that I've reviewed in the past. They're not really chunky threads, but they're not really sharp threads. They're kind of right in the middle, which is, you know, perfect. This thing hits like a freaking freight train. I mean, the silver plated copper contacts, two to 3 second hit. I mean, with most China devices that use the stainless steel contacts, when I pop the Trident on those devices, I don't produce nearly as much vapor with the same setup. I don't produce the warmth of the vape because they're using stainless steel and those products are made in China. Most of those products are half-assed. Just the comparison between something like that to this with the silver-plated copper contacts, all the threads being buttery smooth, they're not wobbly, everything is centered and solid. You're going to get better conductivity. You know, it's going to be more powerful. You're not going to get the stainless steel China weak hits. Cons: 1, when I first received it, you know, only 3 to 4 days in, I noticed that the bottom firing switch wasn't firing every time, but I figured out the problem. It was a spring, so anybody could fix it. It wasn't a flaw in the device. Sometimes, you know, shit happens. The spring was a little off, but it was an easy fix. Easy, okay? But still, gotta point that out as a con. The firing pin, sometimes when I go to tighten it up, I guess it tightens a little bit too tight, and then when I go to untighten that firing pin to fire it, it unscrews the telescopic portion, which means I lose connection, and that's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's no big deal. Still a con. So I've tightened that up. Yeah, it's unscrewing the telescopic. I'm losing connection, so I have to go in, retighten it back up, hold this section down, and there you go. Got it. Not that big of a deal, but still a con. Another con, this is a mechanical mod, and this is obviously going to be subjective, but with me and mechanical mods, I love my mechanical mods, but I don't like carrying 10 different batteries with me, and if I'm running like a 0.8 to a 1.2 ohm coil, which I do most of the time in these RDAs, especially if I'm using mechanical mods, I'm going to run through batteries pretty fast. I mean, you know, if you're running a 1.2 ohm coil and you're using an 18350, I mean, this 18350 is not going to last you but 45 minutes to an hour tops. Me, at least. An 18500 battery is going to last me 45 minutes to an hour, about the same, especially when I'm running like a 0.8, 0.9, 1 ohm coil. I don't like carrying 5, 10 different batteries with me, so that's a con. How much is this device? And is this device worth it? Well, if you go to deusmods.com, I'll post a link right here, and I'll post a link in the description. They've got different options. From me looking on their site, there are different options, brass, different finishes. Do I think it's worth it? If I was into mechanical mods more than I am, you know, most of the time I'm vaping on the DNA 20 or I'm vaping on the Provari because it's a regulated device and I know my battery's going to last a lot longer. I think this looks better than the GMS and hits just as hard as the GMS. So I think it's got the GMS beat. I think it's got second place. The way this device looks, it's small, it's compact. You can run it in stealth mode. You can also run it in 18650 mode. It's not too big. 18500 mode, I mean, that's tiny. That's tiny in 18500 mode. So if you like smaller setups that pack a punch, you're going to like this. I recommend it. Highly recommended. This is Rip Trippers. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to comment below. And remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.